am Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Of course, I'm a lawyer by profession, and I was called to the bar in Sierra Leone, and I studied in Sierra Leone and did a postgraduate course in the United States. And I've been working in this ministry for quite some time. I started my professional career in this Ministry of Justice some 25 years ago as a state counsel. And I worked till about 9 years before I left for the US. And I had been back since 2003. I worked at the Special Court for Sierra Leone, where I was the Deputy Prosecutor. And thereafter, I was appointed in 2010 as Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. I sojourned there for 5 years. And sometime in December, it pleased His Excellency the President, Dr. Kamara, to appoint me Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Now, what does this ministry do? The Office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice is the principal legal advisor to government. We advise the government on all contracts. We advise the government on issues of the law. We advise the government on constitutionality. And we also advise the government on areas of good governance. So that is why all legal opinions need the concurrence of this ministry. And we also prosecute. All the prosecutions in the country are at the instance of the Attorney General. And we have a Directorate for Public Prosecutions, headed by the Director of Public Prosecutions. We have the Solicitor General, who is the principal legal assistant to the Attorney General. She's the one that supervises all the civil actions. And also, if government is taken to court, we represent government in court. We also have the Civil and Commercial Division that attends to all contracts of government, reviews all legal opinions of government. And we also have the Legal and Drafting Division. This is the division that drafts legislation, that drafts the laws that we take to Parliament. And we have the International Division. This one deals with treaties, conventions, advises government on reservations on treaties, and also advise government whether we want to be signatory to treaties, and also try to keep up the report on our obligations on those treaties. That is the Law Officers Department. And in a nutshell, we also have the Law Reform Commission, which is also part of this ministry. It deals with looking at the law holistically and identify those areas that need reform, and we try to introduce legislation that will meet the needs of society. We do have the Human Rights Commission. This is a set-up commission by His Excellency the President, and to look into human rights issues in the country. Where there is need, a commission is set up or an investigation is set up, and the report is submitted to the ministry for the attention of the President. We also have the Administrator General's Office. The Administrator and Registrar General is the office that conducts the registration for companies, registration of title to land, and registration of documents, instruments in general. So those are all components that fit within the Ministry of Justice. We do have an oversight over many of these appendage institutions. Considering my background as a former head of the institution that fights corruption, I agree with you that corruption is a challenge in Africa. But a lot of work has been done towards that, to meet that challenge, and Sierra Leone is no exception. We have introduced what we call the Anti-Corruption Act, and this act has given powers to the agency, that is the Anti-Corruption Commission, to investigate and prosecute its own cases. Now, what has been the impact of that? Since we invested that power to the agency, many more cases have gone to court, very high-profile cases. Sierra Leone stands out as the only country where ministers of government, city ministers of government, have been prosecuted for corruption. High-profile cases, including judges, have been prosecuted and convicted for corruption. So I believe we have a good rating in that regard. And in the last 5 years, Sierra Leone has climbed 39 spaces upwards in the Corruption Perception Index. It's a good record. We are not yet there. We are working towards it. So the investment climate is reassured that despite there is corruption, yes, we agree, but efforts have been made by the government, and recognizable efforts. And the government has also set up a Corporate Affairs Commission. The Corporate Affairs Commission is there to have oversight of all corporate activities and governance. If you come with a company, the setting up of a company to ensure that the interests of investors are guarded and protected. so that you're not, you don't fall victim to crooked persons. So that is why when you come to the country for investment, you approach the Corporate Affairs Commission to understand what is the legal regulatory framework that affects your investment. Beyond the Corporate Affairs Commission, which is now going automated, meaning that all registrations are now being automated, meaning there is now a system, computerized system of registration. There's a huge leap. We are moving forwards to modern technology. The government have also set up what we call the Sierra Leone Investment Protection Agency. When you come as an investor, there's a climate of protection for you. You visit this agency, it tells you what is the legal regime that affects your operations. How do you move around your businesses? What laws? If you want to invest in petroleum, where do you go? It guides you in the process of investment. And it also opens up the country into those areas that are new for investment. They're attractive areas that you can invest if you come as an investor. So there's a lot of literature in the Investment Protection Agency. And at the same time, it guides the investor. When you come in, it tells you how does the law protect you against misdemeanors, against persons that will want to undermine the credibility of your investment. Beyond the Sierra Leone Protection Agency, we also have established a financial intelligence unit. The financial intelligence unit works with the Bank of Sierra Leone, that is the central bank, together with this office, the Attorney General's office, and collate all information from the banks to monitor money laundering, corruption, and those other activities that will impact your relationship with the banking sector. So within the banking sector, government has set up a unique regulatory framework. The central bank regularly monitors the investment and the control of cash, and also what we call the prudential ratio in the commercial banks. And so this is a structure that is there. We have a structure in terms of finance, we have a structure in terms of the fiscal, we have a structure in terms of monetary policy. So all of these are there to ensure that when you come with your investment, you have a safe and secure opportunity to ensure that you get your returns on investment. With regards to commercial activities, the government of Sierra Leone has set up what we call a fast-track commercial court, meaning that we do not want those cases to fall in the labyrinth of the volume of case log that is in the regular court system. So we've set up a parallel fast-track commercial court. So if there's a dispute between partners, there's a dispute between government and contractors, you can easily go to the fast-track commercial court and you could be heard within a very short while, and then you get your redress. In law, we normally say, ibi jus, ibi remedio. That is in Latin. It means where there is a wrong, there is a remedy. And it is not only in the exercise of obtaining a remedy, justice must not be delayed. The easier you access justice, the satisfied you are. So when you come as an investor, you have a special court that will deal with your matters, the fast-track commercial court. So quickly you get your matters resolved. Quickly you're able to cut down on your losses if that is the case. So apart from the commercial court, we've also strengthened our audit service. That is when you have dealings with government, public sector transactions. Our audit service has been strengthened. Now they have their own powers to investigate. They have their own powers to impose some form of sanctions. That is where government officials may want to obtain benefits from private investors. There is a system in place for that to monitor. And we also now have a regular framework where we have what we call audit queries register. So all those audit queries on the part of government have been monitored to ensure that we have compliance and that the regime is safe and strengthen government's investment. We also look at the anti-corruption, like I mentioned to you. They are not only there for public sector finance monitoring, they're also there to ensure that the private sector are compliant with the legal regime in the country. So these are the parastatals that we have, and these are the paradigms that we have in the country to ensure that, yes, despite the challenges that we may experience, which as in elsewhere, but our country is making efforts to ensure a very conducive atmosphere for investment. We are signatories to the International Convention for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID, and we do take cases there. And also, if there are issues for resolution, we are open to all those arbitrations that that are registered with ICSID. And beyond that, we have regional arbitration institutions. We have the closest in Egypt. I understand Nigeria has set up one, and we are never hesitant to appear before those arbitration tribunals for any matter that affects the government. We are open to that. We do have few cases where we appear, and there is also the ECOWAS court. We are, of course, members of the ECOWAS, and when there are matters of dispute that are within the jurisdiction of the ECOWAS court, our country is compliant. We go to those courts with open arms and comply with the decisions of the court. It will be of interest to you, most certainly, that we are also looking at domesticating the New York Convention. The New York Convention is that law that deals with enforcement of international judgments, such that if there is a judgment against a Sierra Leonean or there is a judgment against the government of Sierra Leone, it can be enforced in Sierra Leone. You can bring your judgment, register it in Sierra Leone, and have it enforced. That is a huge leap in ensuring an investment conducive climate, that if even you take your matter to a court in the UK, where you believe under the arbitration laws that is where you will obtain justice, and there is a judgment against Sierra Leone or a Sierra Leone national that has assets in this country, or even a Nigerian or a Liberian national that has assets in Sierra Leone, once we complete the implementation and the domestication of the New York Convention, you can be able to enforce that judgment in Sierra Leone. We aspire towards that, and within a short while, we'll have that domesticated. I can say that Sierra Leone is a peaceful country. Sierra Leone is a friendly country. That Sierra Leone is a virgin country. There are business opportunities all over. You look into the mineral sector, Sierra Leone is endowed with so many minerals. It's open, the climate is conducive and encouraging. You can come to Sierra Leone, you'll find diamonds, there's bauxite, there's rutile, you name it where you want to invest. And the climate is so encouraging because the government is a business-prone government. We encourage investment into those sectors. You want to invest in iron ore, there's enough reserves of iron ore that you can invest in. And then the climate, the legal climate is attractive. There are concessions that have been given by government to encourage international investors, multilateral companies to come forward and invest in Sierra Leone because the climate will protect you. And our people are friendly. Our landlords are welcoming. We're willing to surrender land that will develop it for the benefit of the people of this country. And I can tell you, entertainment is second to none. 60% of our land is coastline. You can come, you can build hotels, tourism will enrich. So please, I can tell you, you have nowhere to turn to come to Sierra Leone. Your investment questions will be answered in a short while.